Hi, everyone! Sudden Jonathan!
Sudden Jonathan here. Oh, and I'm hanging out with the Starship and the... that looks like about how I'd react to seeing a spaceship.
Wow, you got a ship. Cool, guys.
Yeah, like whatever.
Super stoked for you.
I have a question. So when you do... Because that was the Voyager theme, right? So do you change the theme?
Yes.
So when you do Enterprise episodes, do you play the Enterprise song?
Yes. Although we haven't done Enterprise yet.
Oh my
God.
God.
I don't think we do the lyrics.
I now wish I had picked an Enterprise episode just to hear that.
There's a lyricless version. I'll play a little bit of it.
No, you have to play. No, you have to have the lyrics.
You really do have to have.
Why am I getting blamed for being late? That's not my fault.
Jonathan, we were here on time. We've been waiting 2 hours for Jonathan to get here. It's crazy.
Yeah, they were waiting on me for 2.5 hours. I was like, I'll be there when I can, guys.
Whatever. It's only Star Trek.
You guys know it's actually all the animals' fault. That's the truth.
Yeah. I can't wait to do an episode of Enterprise because we will be listening to the entire title theme and your face. I can already picture what your face is going to be like tonight. It's just going to be like a
oh no.
Renee and I wrote on, I think it was Discovery, maybe the Sense video, and I made a comment about the Enterprise theme, and I think you went and listened to it. It's like the only one where they actually have lyrics. Like people,
well, I have a faint memory of it, so that's got to be when it was. And I remember.
You're talking about 5 years ago, right?
Oh yeah, it's been a long time.
There's
it could have even been the original series episode we said. It could have been that too. I don't remember.
Yeah, because there's the man trap that you did too.
The best one right now is that Iris has come to me saying that she would like for the cat to not be in her room anymore.
Oh, why?
I got very excited while in her special tent. Like I got her a tent when she was 4 or 5, and it kind of like attaches to the ceiling and it comes down, and she's got like it's her chill area where she can go. Her baby blankets are on the floor to make it soft. She's got lots of squishmallows and pillows, and she can just sort of close in. Well, the cat has adopted this as his hang space. In fact, one of the squishmallows has been squashed down into the shape of a donut. And when the house was being cleaned by someone a few months ago, they're like, "Oh, your donut squishmallow is interesting." And I'm like, "What? No. He's just pressed it down into this
It's a perfect bed for him.
And the top part of it is now brown because he comes in after his dust bath and he'll sleep on it. So Iris has been like, she's been fine. She's been fine with it. But today,
what's a dust bath? Hold on.
Literally goes out and rolls in.
Oh,
what it sounds like.
Yeah.
Cats love doing that.
And I had no idea this happened until talking to Ian and then the neighbor whose cat it actually is. And she tells me that every day thunderstorm goes over and there's this little patch that will not grow grass for some reason. And probably because he rolls in it almost every day.
Or he pisses on it. Like cat urine is terrible for grass.
Yeah. So anyway, then he'll come back over and he's usually fully brown on his face and his shoulder and part of his back. And we've been fine with it because he goes to this particular place and he lays down. So it's getting dirty, but nothing else really is. But today, when he woke up from his nap, he was feeling spicy. And Iris decided to play with him for a little while. So she had like her little toy and she's like dangling it down. And apparently at some point he attacked through the fabric of the tent, which she's very concerned that 2 things are going to happen. 1, it's going to fall out of the ceiling. And 2, that it's going to tear her fabric. And she came to me and she was very composed. "Mom, I'm worried. I have a concern about the cat being in my room." And I was like, "It's about the pee and the poop, isn't it?"
Like, that was my instinct. Yeah. That's what I'd be worried about.
No.
No, it's not that. It's the decor.
So yes, the cat is about to be completely kicked out. I ran out of wet food. He is super mad about that and has been just screaming at me from countertops every day. So I went to go get him cat food today. before the storm comes, and to prepare myself, and I got wet food for him again, which he likes. This means I now give him 5 different kinds, if you include water, of things to keep him alive. A variety.
This is the neighbor's cat, right?
Yeah, not your cat. It's wild. Your monthly bill for a cat that is not yours.
And I feed him expensive stuff too. Yes. I mean, really expensive stuff. So anyways, I brought him this wet food and I popped the tin. He comes up today and he's just like, oh, thank God. Just puts his face in it and starts nomming it up. He was so very happy. So that's the cat story today. There's lots more on the horizon.
Do the dogs get along with it?
So they are getting along really well. The cat's been pretty patient. He's now getting playful back with them, and they're very concerned about that. Reed wants to play with them. Like, he'll play bow and kind of jump around and skitter. And the cat just looks at him like, not now, not right now.
Not today, buddy.
But then whenever the cat wants to play, he'll reach out and pop him. But the thing is he pops the very sensitive Twix. And Twix is just like...
He's a delicate flower. He doesn't like oxygen touching him too much.
No. So, but the cat has been coming. We have a very interesting arrangement at night. Requires me to get up and out of bed at least 2 to 3 times every single night to care for his needs. And I don't know. I don't know how to stop it. But anyway, he comes and he's been sleeping in the bed with us, which is really, really cute and sweet. And so I'll wake up and so the dogs were on my left side and the cat was literally up on my head. So I had animal, human. It's great. It's great. Yeah. Anyway, here's
that's your life.
Come down. Look at this guy. Look at him.
Oh my gosh, you're right. Back when, like, my first ever visit to the States, Twix would just bark at me non-stop. Whenever I turned up, he would just like not agree with me.
This is Twix, yeah.
And we assumed it was because of my beard,
right?
What?
Is Kit Kat the other one?
Yeah, no, it's Reese's.
Okay. Oh, Reese's. That's right. I knew it was candy.
It should be like Tic and Tac.
Mr. Goodbar.
Yeah. Exactly.
Here's my dog, $100,000.
That's a good memory, JCD.
Yeah, really good. I'd forgotten about that. He definitely took a dislike to me, but now he loves me.
JCD's got some good memories.
You're not
witness that up close and personal. I can't even say a phrase right, but he can remember that.
Do you want to come on camera as well?
Monday.
He wants lap.
I'll show you off. Here's Reese's.
He's such an old man.
He looks like a wizard.
He does. Sprocket?
He looks like Sprocket. When I let their hair grow out and they have the big mustaches. But Iris doesn't like them to have beards, probably because she only wants Ian to have a beard.
Yeah, there's only one man that can have a beard around these parts, and it's Ian. It's amazing. I did want to shout out Sci-Fi Brony because he's the one that puts our intros together and will do the different theme music and make the Enterprise, this Enterprise spin around. So yeah, we are very lucky to have a lovely fan base that does lovely things.
Yes, thank you guys
for the show. We love you very much.
Well, except for remembering Slab's birthday, but that's fine. It's fine.
Damn it, Slab.
I mean, he was blaming me for US being late, so I don't forget your birthday. I don't care.
It's fair. That's absolutely fair. But I mean, it's correct. Totally it is your fault. It's amazing. Shall we talk some Star Trek, people? Shall we do it?
I mean, I just watched it for like an hour. We can talk about something else.
Kind of done. Yeah. We'll just skip that part of the show.
So, why were you late? Hey.
Hey now. It's
funny because
we had some. We were finishing up some CinemaSins.
Yeah, we had work to do, but
got a little behind.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have been able to come today if we hadn't been late. So
it's turned out really well. This was just going to be. Actually, that sounds horrible. It sounds like I hated the idea of it just being me and Jonathan. It's turned out exactly the same. There is no difference apart from you guys get 3 hosts now instead of just me and Jonathan.
Moopsie versus the Warship Voyager crew.
Oh my gosh.
And Slab is building a bidet for Danae. What is going on? Like, what is these comments are amazing.
I know. We have the best chat.
Just a standard week. Stop it. Stop. I've done the start date. Quit.
It's my favorite. It's my favorite comment every episode because we do the star date before we start the live show.
Mm-hmm.
The live show is always like, "Where's the star date?" So they want it to do. So it's almost like you should double it up.
Pause every time. Every time I think, wait, do I need to do it? Wait. Amazing.
I have the day off today. Yay for getting federal holidays. Yeah, I don't have the day off today. I had to go to, so we're getting like this, maybe even 12 inches of snow. We're expecting in the next like 48 hours. So I thought it would be a good time to do two things. One, go get supplies. Turns out that's everybody's idea today. So that was crazy.
Huh, who'd have thought?
But two, I have this idea. I saw somebody do this on a short and they took a piece of plastic, like a really long piece of plastic, and they just rolled it out over the areas that they didn't want to have snow. And then out of the snow, they just kind of like shuffle it off. Yeah. So I want to try that. So after
and just shuffle it all onto the sidewalk to be a nuisance to everybody else. Yeah.
Exactly.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So I'm gonna try that. I have a king sized mattress protector, which is really thick plastic. So I'm just gonna cut it open and see what it looks like all spread out, and then see if I can cover my walkway up to my front door and possibly part of my driveway, but that might be a little bit crazy.
And then you're gonna get like half an inch of snow after you do all that.
It's just cancelled. Storm has been cancelled. You're just the crazy lady that has a mattress protector.
You guys are supposed to get a foot?
Drive.
You guys are supposed to get up to a foot?
12 inches? That's insanity.
We're supposed to get like, because we're usually a day behind you guys, but not England, but where Danae is. And I think we're only supposed to get a couple inches though.
Probably because he doesn't remember he can. But I can change it.
Yeah.
What should I make it?
Jonathan should be, I think we said Ensign, it's Lieutenant Junior Grade Jonathan. So Lieutenanthan? Lieutenanthan? Yes, Rear Admiral. That's correct.
Okay, does that work? Did I do it?
I can't even, Lieutenant. Nice. That'll work. Yeah.
Rear Admiral. Yeah.
Amazing.
I like it. Sorry, I think you guys not great. Yeah, there it goes again.
Oh man, Jonathan's having some
Lieutenant E. Nathan.
Lieutenant. Should it just be the Nathan?
Yeah, I guess without the dot, I think I can. Do you want to? Lieutenn. Athen.
Lieutenant.
Wow. Wow.
Yep. Now you know how to pronounce it.
Yes. There we go. Lieutenant.
Let's answer this question and then we'll do like the little kickoff for the show.
Jonathan, how do you say that?
31? Lieutenant.
Oh, Lieutenant. I got it. That's beautiful.
It's like spelling boobs on the calculator.
Are you wanting me to? You want me to answer this question? I have seen Section 30. I'm sorry. What?
Yeah, go for it. Answer it.
I'm sorry. I know I'm delayed. Yes, I've seen Section 31, and I did not like it. So I don't know what else.
Join the club. I don't know anybody that has liked it yet. I think Sarah. I think Sarah liked it. Not to ostracize Sarah.
No, don't ostracize poor Sarah.
No,
I mean, am I allowed to? I talked about it. I talked about it on another podcast. Am I allowed to promote that?
Mm-hmm.
No. Yes, of course you can. Yeah. Because one of those
hosts. If you want to hear more about me talking about Section 31,
I said it was
check out Geek Speak Louder Than Nerds.
Sarah.
Okay, I take it back. Sarah hated it. Sarah thought it was the worst Star Trek ever.
No. Aw, thanks, Phil. You are not alone. Okay.
I think it will age poorly.
Talk about 31 is that you just kind of didn't like it very much. Is that it? Did you have any other thoughts for it?
No, yeah, that's it. I mean, like I said, I talked about it on another podcast called Geeks Speak Louder Than Nerds. So if you want to hear me talk about it in more detail, but yeah, no, I thought it was bad, very, very, very bad.
It was a choice.
It was.
Yeah. I mean, it didn't like offend me, but it wasn't a good movie.
It did stuff.
Yep, agreed.
It did stuff.
Agreed.
I'm kind of glad they did not make it a TV series. But
well, we said the same thing because we would have covered it, and then instead of like one episode, we're stuck with that 6 weeks of just being a little bit miserable and annoyed.
Actually, I wonder if we would have started watching it and been like, and then picked up something else, and then just did a binge watch, and then went in for like the first and the last.
Yeah, it might have been the first series that we abandoned.
Maybe so.
I liked most of the cast. So I mean, I think that was fun. Yeah, but 100%. I did note though, I have never been more concerned that I was about to have to watch two people have sex when there was that really creepy flirting going on with the two of them at the beginning in that bar.
Oh, Michelle Yeoh and I can't remember his name now.
Captain guy or whatever.
Yeah.
I just remember like this is just kind of creeping me out. Like please don't take this further.
Yeah.
And it could have done. It's streaming.
It was just the writing. It was just the writing.
Yeah.
Normal guy. That's exactly right. It's exactly right. Wondering. I like this comment. The cast was definitely not the issue. It's their accents that might have been
so bad. And some of them
Irish people don't sound like they're from Missouri.
Yeah.
Normal.
Well, the crazy thing is some of them were using their own accents. And I'm like, how did you do your own accent wrong?
I don't know that I believe that though. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Have you seen Thanksgiving, Ian?
The horror movie that came out?
Yeah, I know Danae hasn't.
No, I haven't. No.
Okay, so Patrick Dempsey has like this terrible, like really stereotypical, like Boston accent in that movie, and he's like, "Well, that's how I speak," because he's from Boston. I'm like, I don't know that I believe you. Like, I
don't think it is.
And I mean, living in the same area like Reese Witherspoon lived in, and hearing her try to do a Southern accent, like she sucks. I mean, she's not very good at it either. It's wild. It's like you're from here. Like, how can you not do a Southern accent? But
it's amazing. Anyways. It's so clever.
Well,
insane.
I'll kick us off, and then we can get started. Has the banner already been updated by
I updated the banner. It has been updated.
Thanks guys for coming to Captain's Pod Live. Obviously, we're going to be covering Voyager today with a living witness here with Jonathan. This is an R-rated show. We are broadcasting on 3 different platforms, 2 of which are on Twitch. Actually, I guess I said 2 platforms, but 3 different channels. You can watch on CinemaSins Live, which is where most of the audience resides. Then there's the next bulk of people is going to be at the CinemaSins CSPN channel on YouTube, CinemaSins Podcast Network. And you can find all of our old broadcast videos, all this live format on YouTube. They do disappear from Twitch, but you can catch them over on YouTube if you ever want to go back and see any of those. We talked to you at the beginning like we have been. We talked to you at the end, as we will. And we do pin your comments for later. You can put in your sins or different topics that you want to cover. We try to pin them. And then as we naturally discuss that part of the show, we try to pop up your comments during the show. And sometimes they do remind us of our own pre-existing thoughts that we also had ourselves. We're not always stealing your comments.
Never.
Some of us do steal comments. And I can't tell you who does that.
It's Jonathan. That's why he's late. He just spent a lot of time stealing comments that haven't been made yet.
A Kirk. What?
Oh, it's because I threw up the Red Kurt banner to see if you'd notice.
I did see it, but I was trying to focus.
It's being updated. Red Kurt.
Why don't you just have Slab on here and you guys can just talk mean things about me?
Oh no!
No, because knowing
I'm totally fine.
You'll be the only person that survives in the future, and then you get to retell what actually happened, and you'll just change everything.
God, that would be my life.
You can't join in on this too.
And sometimes we like an episode of Captain's Pod so much that we upload the same one to YouTube twice. So thank you, people who let us know about that, and it has been changed and updated. We appreciate your patience.
I did think that was my fault. And then it wasn't,
I immediately went to the email and was like, did I do the shit? No, wasn't me. Wasn't me.
It wasn't me.
Wasn't Jonathan.
Okay, so we are going to get into the show. And
yeah, we are.
For those of you who are very, very much about to go to bed, we will lull you to sleep with our dulcet thoughts on.
I'll just quickly bring in the walk call that I could have brought in a long time ago.
Yeah, I was thinking that. I forgot to put the music on.
Go to sleep. Go to...
Okay. Anyway, ready to do the show? We're ready. We're ready.
Ooh.
It's bedtime.
Right, yeah, let me throw up a new picture. I don't like that.
Is that the bedtime picture?
Android doctor.
Stare into Robert Picardo's Android eyes before you go to sleep. That's what you should do. Okay. Hoo-ha. Welcome to 10 Forward, the part of the show where we grab something from the replicator and share our immediate thoughts and feelings on the episode that we just watched together. Most important question first. Lieutenant Jonathan, what would you like from the replicator?
You know, since we're covering Voyager, this is not this episode specifically, although Janeway was having coffee at one point, but there was like an early episode in season 1, I think, where Neelix was trying to get them to not use the replicators. And there's like this super like thick, like gunky coffee that he makes. Do you know what I'm talking about, Ian?
Yeah. It's like pure syrup.
For some weird reason, I've always wanted to know what that tasted like. So I'm going to go with gunky Neelix coffee.
It's amazing that you mentioned that, because there is another thing that Neelix made that I've morbidly always wanted to try. And it's when he's trying to cook a radiation sickness like potion thing. And he's worried that the inoculation won't be enough. So he's eating this like green sludge that tastes like horrible, but it makes him immune to radiation. And I've always wanted to try it because it looks like a Thai green curry. And just morbidly, like whenever I watch that episode, I'm like, I would eat that. I would try some of Neelix's radiation medicine.
And you wouldn't get radiation poisoning. So,
I wouldn't. I would be irradiated, but I wouldn't get radiation poisoning. Ambassador.
I just want a sexy pair of evil black gloves.
Oh, just the
my
gloves?
God! What is that? Like,
that is how you show someone that they are dark and evil and naughty.
Yeah, one of the aliens went to the George Lucas school of eviling things.
Yeah,
and just made everything really
have
dark
face
and
tattoos and give Janeway short hair, make her look like
her hair looks incredible.
Incredible. Okay,
yeah, I love it. Are you kidding? I may have issues. I'm going to steal what I want from the chat.
Hair?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to steal Janeway's hair. I'm going to steal what I want from the chat, which is just one of the black turtlenecks, because I think that's a great addition to the uniform. I think that's amazing. That is definitely someone that was like, look, I didn't want gray or purple or whatever color it is. I wanted black undershirts. And damn it, this is the episode where I'm allowed to do it.
There you go.
Ambassador, give us a synopsis.
Okay.
Okay.
Apparently, my joke about what was going to happen in this episode as a prediction was what was going to happen.
Let's do a very quick recap. Danae's prediction was the entire planet is dead apart from one survivor. Voyager wants to find out why, because they do. There's a murder mystery who done it. Voyager finds out and ends up avenging them by killing the entire species that attacked them. And as you get to the back end of that, you're like, wait a minute, that's pretty close.
Yeah, this is an interesting episode where it's how do you encapsulate this one? This is a storyteller's approach to historical revisionist history, where it brings the hologram from Voyager to life inside of a museum 700 years in the future. And the museum is portraying Voyager as this deadly warcraft. And the two warring races have kind of unified in their hatred of Voyager, which has brought about a sense of peace. But when the Doctor is discovered and his hologram comes back and he begins to say that's actually not what happened at all, another war breaks out. And then we zoom even further into the future where now there is true peace after, some version of the truth has kind of revealed itself and everybody has just calmed down. But you're inside this as a mystery. You're kind of like seeing it unfold in a curious fashion. Where like the first 5 minutes, you're just watching all these characters that if you've ever watched Voyager, you're like, this isn't them at all. And it's
wait a minute.
Chat was mentioning something about a mirror universe vibe. And
yeah,
I have not seen very many mirror universe episodes, so I always forget that that's a thing.
I don't think we've covered any on the show yet. Yeah. I think we've dipped into it with Discovery, but we haven't actually done one yet. But yeah, that's an easy assumption to make based on the cold open.
Voyager never had one.
No.
So this is kind of like, I guess, if you're going to do mirror universe episodes throughout Star Trek and you went to Voyager and there wasn't one, this would be as, I guess, close as it was. And I'll just say that.
So much better. So like mirror stuff really was DS9's realm. So I think they were worried about like conflicting with that because Deep Space Nine has like 7 mirror episodes or 6, something like that. So I think there wasn't much need to do it in Voyager, but they still manage it. And I think this is better. Either. Yeah, TNG didn't have one. TOS had one.
It was just the original series had one, and then DS9 had like 5 or something, and then Enterprise had a couple.
Yeah, Enterprise has my favorite ones with the alternate Defiant. Anyway, before we get nerdy and dive into that, before I do your overall thoughts and feelings, Danae, I wanted to jump to Jonathan and say what obviously are your overall thoughts and feelings, because you picked this episode this week and you absolutely love it. So yeah, why this episode?
Okay, well, we're going to have to break our usual show protocol here because...
What are you doing, Danae?
I'm sorry.
Do it. Break us.
We're going to have to because we just got a raid and we don't usually have a raid at this time of day, but I think because we're going live later. So
we need to do this more often.
We are usually completely ignoring chat, which is not always a smart thing to do when we do go live, but we're right in the middle of, actually not right in the middle. We've just started doing a podcast. I know.
This is so true. Immediately derailed the show and I love it. It's incredible.
So what you're stumbling into at the minute is myself, Danae, Ian, and Jonathan. We are all 3 content creators for a YouTube channel called CinemaSins on YouTube, where we have snarky takes on everything wrong with content. And then on the side, we also love to do podcasting. This particular show that you're watching right now is us producing a podcast specifically about an episode of Star Trek. So that's what you're listening to right now. And welcome into the chat. You'll find a group of people that are all on our Discord as well. I know you guys are usually on Discord with Moco Made. So we do have a Discord over there. So if you're somebody who loves movies and TV and you don't mind snarky R-rated takes on things, you might find another little fold over community, a little extra people to hang out with over on our Discord, which you can find at discord.gg/CinemaSins. You broke the chat. That's okay. You guys all, Moco peeps are, you have to stop for the Moco peeps. So, and then for those of you who are on the CinemaSins side of things, there's a couple of things I want you to know about Moco Made. So Moco Made is a couple of siblings that I stumbled upon on Twitch a few years ago, and they stream every single day, Monday through Friday, I should say, weekly, from their creative basement space. And they make all kinds of things. Sister makes, she paints. She's an artist and she's incredible. And she does really fine work, including, I don't know if I can get this off in time, but we're not in a hurry. We're not rushing.
That's what she said.
Like this. She painted this for me. It says Hooky Smooky because they used to, when they first started watching them, they made hookah hoses out of leather. And the leather side is the brother. The brother does leather work. They have.
Is this where I got the dragon?
What?
The purple dragon? Is this where I got is this where you got the dragon from as well?
So the purple dragon came from somebody in their community.
Okay.
But apart from the two siblings that I want you to know about, there is also this massive community of artists. And on their Discord, they go in every single day and they share their artwork, their creations, whatever. And then Devin and Derek, the brother sister, they go every day and they show off what the community is doing. And they're really, really passionate about community. So if you're somebody who likes to create, are you looking for an outlet of people to support you in your creations? They're a really, really great community to be a part of. Two things you want to know. One, they are also R-rated, which I love. Two, they both talk at the same time. So you have to trust that your brain can actually process two conversations at once. But wait, it gets deeper. They're not only talking at the same time, they're reading their live chat at the same time, different chats. So you're processing hilarity that they're saying, inside jokes between each other, creativity, community, and massive shenanigans. I highly recommend it. It is chaos that's super, super fun. And every single person that comes into they're so supportive, and they have like a really, really active Discord. They've got like a Minecraft that you can join if you're like looking for people to play Minecraft with. So yeah, huge community. So I had to stop the show and kind of
stop the presses. There are few things that I will allow to interrupt my Star Trek, and that is one of them.
Well, we don't really get raids. We usually just come on here, we record our podcast with a little live audience, and then we just, go on with our day. So we're going to get back into it. Hi, Bildo. It's good to see you. Holy shit.
And for the future, we will be shifting our time permanently to 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Mondays. Quick update for everybody.
If that's the case, Phil, but you are like really creative and you want to be with the creative community, you probably would love them on Discord. Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
I want to think this is happening because I'm here. So
yeah, absolutely. It's all Jonathan. It was worth being late.
So we're going to pop back into the actual recording of our podcast. Please feel free to hang out especially if Star Trek is your thing. We're going to be talking about Star Trek. But if y'all, want to go do your thing, we totally understand that too. So we are right now at the very beginning of today's episode where I've just described the episode that we watched, which is a very interesting one. And we're going to jump right back into it. So where do you want me to give you
I'll redo my throw over to Jonathan.
Okay.
So this is where I would usually ask Danae what your thoughts and feelings are, but actually, Jonathan, since this is your episode, why did you pick Living Witness? Why did you pick such an incredible episode of Star Trek?
I like shit episodes.
Just to front load how much I love it as well. Hint, hint.
So yeah, this is I'm trying to So I was actually listening to somebody talk about this episode the other day on another podcast, and they were talking about, and I agree with this, and I think this is why I love this one and why I love all the best episodes of Voyager, because this actually feels 100% like a Voyager episode. Like this, I don't know that this episode works on any of the other series, and unfortunately for Voyager, one of its probably negatives is that Berman, or I don't know, I shouldn't just blame Berman, but the powers that be, I think, kind of flipped out. Huh?
I said, do it. Blame him. Everyone else does.
Oh, the powers that be at the time with, I don't know that there was a lot going on, I think, when Voyager launched, and it was trying to launch an entirely new network and all this kind of stuff. So I think they just decided they wanted to play it a little safer than I think a lot of us going into Voyager thought. We thought the premise of Voyager would actually make it different, and then it kind of ended up just becoming like another TNG original series clone. Yeah. A lot of the times they would just take ideas from those shows and then they would do their own version on it. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. But that's, it is what it is. It's the show we have. And for the most part, it's really good. This season is maybe its best season. You had Scorpion, and you had the Herogen. Is it Herogen? Something like that.
Herogen.
Herogen storyline.
Yeah.
Message in a Bottle, which is a lot of people's favorite episode. My personal favorite episode is the season finale, a couple episodes after this, called Hope and Fear, which I actually talked about at Sin Week a few years ago.
Yeah, so, I think you talk about every opportunity that you get, which is fair because it's great. It's so good.
Yeah. But anyway, but going back, so this is towards the end of the season 4, and I don't know, it's a really I like how they're kind of going at revisionist history. And I think it's also very weirdly, I didn't think about this when I picked it, but it's very relevant to a lot of stuff that's going on now. And it's going to be interesting to see what people talk about now, and how they refer to what's going on in the world currently in 20 years or 700 years, definitely. So yeah, I love Picardo. Picardo, I think, is, if not the best actor on the show, he's one of them. And so anytime he gets to just kind of do his own thing. And it really is like his episode, because
I'm sorry,
Voyager.
Picardo is Captain Picard with an O on the end. So who is the person you're talking about exactly?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I don't know why I'm just throwing out
the Doctor,
Robert Picardo, who plays the Doctor.
Name is Picardo?
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just
no. You don't have to apologize for knowing far more than I do.
No, but Robert Picardo, who had done a lot of stuff. He was probably, him or Mulgrew were probably the most known when the show started. Anyways, but yeah, I love Picard. I love Robert Picardo, and it's almost all him this episode. So that's a lot of fun. For
really is.
Yeah, and it's just a fun episode. It's like we've already talked about. It's kind of a mirror thing. Like if Voyager was going to do a mirror episode, this is kind of what it would be like. I think it's hilarious that the way they decided to make everybody bad was, as Danae already mentioned, to give them black gloves. And and oh my God, Chakotay's tattoo.
Why is she wearing black gloves? What's happening?
It's easy. It's easier than character development. You just give them black gloves.
Chakotay's face tattoo might take it down half a star, though. That's all I'm saying. That thing is
a lot.
And Robert Beltran's performance. Honestly, all of it's just not great. But everybody, and that's the other thing. I like how people's, like, especially Kate Mulgrew and Robert Picardo, when we're watching the revisionist history version of them, they're clearly having a lot of fun.
They're eating it up. Yeah, they are chewing up being evil, and it works because it's part of a simulation.
And not everybody is as successful, Garrett Wang, but most of them are.
And anybody that isn't, I put it down to poor programming. It's not it's not the actor's fault. It's deliberately over the top. I love this episode. Danae, overall thoughts and feelings. How did this hit you, especially as a person who hasn't seen a lot of Voyager?
Yeah, I pieced out of Voyager after it started to take over my beloved TNG time, and I was just getting, I think, like to a point where I wasn't as into Star Trek, and so I watched. I know that's why we're doing the show. Though. That's why we're doing the show.
Yeah, that's it.
So my memories of Voyager are usual. I think it's probably season 1. I'm guessing.
Okay, not the best.
I have nothing else to compare it to. It's just my imagination from so many years ago. So, So watching a full episode is really interesting. Watching one where it is not actually the crew is also interesting, because obviously something is wrong. Starfleet is killing people and having a good time doing it. She says his name incorrectly. She says Chakotay or something.
Chakotay, yeah, just kind of changes the emphasis on one of the syllables, but everyone else does it as well.
Evil.
Yeah. So, and her hair was wrong, and I'm thinking, I don't remember any of this. What is happening?
Oh no, I didn't even think about that. I didn't think that there might be a world where you're like, oh, I guess this is how the arc developed. I guess what was like the point where you're like, oh wait, no, this definitely isn't right.
So in our podcast conversations over the past few years, one of the things that will be brought up when referencing Voyager, and this is true for the chat, this is like just casual 2-3 line conversation zingers, is how evil Janeway is. And so I'm like going, wow, so this is after she's gone full on fucking crazy.
Oh no.
The episode really just started.
To be fair,
Yeah.
She committed genocide earlier in the season. So
right. So I'm thinking, okay, so she commits
or
genocide.
agreed to genocide.
Yes, she legit does. That's not even an exaggeration.
No, and so, she makes a bargain and takes out an entire species.
And I remember this happening, and I'm thinking, oh, I'm watching this happen, but it was the pacing of it, the way that the storytelling is of this episode, before we see the credits of the show in the first 4.5 minutes. It is just to the wall on so many uncomfortable things you don't usually see in Starfleet. And so I thought what was going to happen is that everything was a setup, like they were being observed by the species that was wanting. So the ambassador like comes onto their ship and is saying that they want to have aid. Well, or that they want to attack their enemy, the Kirans or whatever. That guy, I thought maybe everything else was a play into it to get his to earn his trust.
Oh, interesting.
So they were going over the top so that they would have him kind of on their side and they could maybe barter or bargain, turn the tide somehow.
Got it. Yeah.
But then when it got to the torture, I thought, okay, so
way a bit much.
Potentially it's not the torture. Potentially what's happening here is like they're playing up the torture because they know that they're being watched. So they're not actually torturing. They're just playing it up, you know. And then then
Janeway shoots someone in the back. You're like,
and I thought, okay, so they're acting. So the Kirans are in on it too. And I kept thinking it in my mind to get even more complex. So by the time we get to the reveal that this is all a simulation, that somebody is playing in a museum, I was really invested and also like, whoa, we're not even a third. This is maybe a third of the way through this episode.
Yeah.
So much has already happened. So I was really enjoying it. I thought it was a really unique take on an episode because it builds a lot of what you think is the episode in the first third. And then it breaks that down in the middle third and begins to question itself and question history and, you know, bring in kind of the meat and the potatoes of the episode of what they're trying to make you feel uncomfortable with, which is the Doctor defending the truth that Voyager wasn't this terrible ship doing these terrible things. And then the final bit is, it's not even the resolution. It's the resolution in this really unique way of going, does our take on history matter right now if more people are going to die? Let's just keep making Voyager the bad guy if that's what unified everybody. And then the flip into, and that was also in the past. And then throughout all of it is this character that I think most people who watch Voyager really love. Yeah. And getting a chance to kind of go, oh yeah, what would happen to this hologram if it was left floating in space and found somewhere for 700 years and it pops into existence and says, I wonder what happened to my buddies. And that was really unnerving to me because he exists forever. And it's kind of like playing a little bit into his story isn't done. So we went really far into the future in this really unique way, hitting on a topic that's really like important to discuss. You know, like
doing what good Star Trek does.
Yeah. And all to something that was really intense. This is about war. This is about racism. It's a really serious episode. So, I mean, it's a good one, but not in the way where it's like, oh, let's go have a fun adventure with Picard whenever he, you know, is wearing a low cut shirt and he's, you know, going to go.
He's on holiday on Risa. Yeah.
This is good TV, good writing, good, like, let's sit down and have a conversation afterwards and go, how did you feel watching this? So I really enjoyed it, although it was very serious.
Yeah, no, it's the summation of what Star Trek does best, which is I've seen this episode 30 times perhaps, and most of those times were as a child going into teen years, and I've seen it so many times before I even understand how important the message of choosing history, rewriting history, how like inconsistent your accounts can be, how you overlay your own biases on, before I've even contemplated those big heady topics, I've enjoyed it as an episode again and again, and I've rewatched it again and again. So it's this insidious thing where an entertaining episode of Star Trek entertains you, and then maybe later you realize, oh wait, I learned something. Shit, like it actually had something really important to say. And that's where Star Trek succeeds so much, is when it's entertaining and has that message, and it manages to not beat you over the head and patronize you or preach to you. It puts it into an entertaining pocket as well, which is like, if you can pull that off, that is, whatever your genre is, whatever story you're trying to tell, that's spot on. That's incredible.
It could have done something where it said, I want to have an opinion about who's right, the Kyrans or the Tyrans or whatever they were.
The Kyrians and the Vaskans.
Yeah, those guys. But it doesn't. It continues to say, I'm not trying to figure out who's right or who's wrong here. I just want people to survive. So it kind of tried to like not get too lost in the details, but there's so much that happens in this episode to talk about. So
yeah, no, one of my favorite things is the balance that it has between, it still doesn't say who the villains are, because there doesn't necessarily have to be. Like, okay, the Kyrians were the aggressors in the past, but it's interesting that they're now dealing with oppression 700 years in the future, and it seems like they genuinely are being ostracized and abused. So the episode deliberately doesn't try to villainize, I think, either side of the conflict, or makes them all villains, makes them all as complex as possible. But yes, Jonathan, what's some of your highlights from the episode? What's some of the stuff that you love?
Yeah, I'm glad you guys brought up. I love that you guys brought up the entertain it versus you also kind of like there's a message there, because I think the writing on this one is what makes it stand out, because just from taking screenplay writing classes, like one of the main things they tell you is like, don't write a message. Like if your story is good enough, all that will just kind of come out of it. And I think this is a great example of that happening. And like Ian said, this is like a perfect blend of like the more actiony Star Trek mixed with the interesting story that has, something to say at the end of the day. As far as highlights, I mean, just watching everybody having a blast, just getting to be evil, getting to play a different type of character. Is a lot of fun. Even Garrett, I know somebody's already said, why are you being mean to Garrett? I'm sorry. I love Garrett Wong. He seems like a really, really nice guy. He's great. He's great with fans too. So he's awesome.
He loves it.
And I think Garrett unfortunately was one of the cast members that just didn't get as much to do on the show. So it is what it is. But everybody's having a good time. I love I already mentioned I love Robert Picardo in this episode. I think this is one of his better performances. I just loved all the conflict in the 700 years later between everybody. I just thought that was great writing, where you've got the people from all different sides and they all have their own reason why they want the story to go a certain way.
Yeah.
And I found that conundrum fascinating. If there's anything I have to complain about, it's that they have to wrap this up, because I don't know that this would necessarily be like a two-parter, but I do feel like it needs like 10 or 12 more, like 15 more minutes just to kind of flesh everything out. It feels a little 12 more
episodes.
no minutes. Oh, I'm just saying it feels a little abrupt. Like it just kind of cuts.
No, I agree.
Even farther in the future, like Danae mentioned, and then it's like, oh, everything was fine. Like
I think that's the sign of a good episode. Like you want it, you can't really articulate why you want it to be longer, but you just don't want it to end. Like there is so many interesting things to explore here, and it really kind of does only work in Voyager, because you have to have that situation where Voyager is so far away that it can't defend itself. Starfleet can't defend itself against this anymore. And you have to have a character like the Doctor that can be left behind. Like TNG doesn't even have anybody, like Data could be left behind, but then that's the end of Data's story. Like with the Doctor, because this is a backup, it works perfectly, because our Doctor still exists, but this version of him is stuck in the future. And like for me, that broke my heart, knowing that it's such a mindfuck that this Doctor turns up and he kind of knows that he's not the quote unquote real Doctor. He's a backup program. So the real Doctor carries on his adventure and goes on with Voyager. And this one is like the very first thing he does is has to reconcile, wow, did my friends make it home? Even if they did make it home, they're dead now. Like 700 years is just a mind-blowing amount of time to be removed. So yeah, it's just everything about this episode has a fun premise to it.
But it's also incredibly serious and depressing.
Yes, I say fun.
Agree.
I mean serious, depressing, and all of that stuff as well. But it's one of the great things that Voyager gets to do. It gets to play around. And these type of episodes, particularly for me, are fun sandboxes because I can imagine the writer's room and they're just like, what would happen if there was an evil Voyager? And we mentioned earlier, like how Janeway does some genocidal things. And I imagine like even at this time, there were people that were just like, man, this isn't Star Trek. Like they're making some really questionable decisions. And I like to think that this episode is the writers being like, no, if they were actually making questionable decisions and if they were actually bastards, this is what the ship would actually look like. And you've got a contingent of Borg drones on board. You have way more weapons. You have a ruthless Janeway that will make deals with anyone on any level in order to get home and using their medicine to torture people in unique ways. And I love that getting to play around. I love the idea that they got to just what would we like to do that Star Trek won't let us do?
Yeah, they get to play in that sandbox because it's a simulation.
Exactly.
Yes.
You know, if it wasn't a simulation, we wouldn't have seen this episode because there wasn't anything to risk by showing us what a war captain looks like when they just fire as much as they can on a civilization, on an innocent civilians in order to achieve their goal. And it's so scary to watch. But like a lot of times when you're watching shows, whether it's a movie or a TV show, there is a way that the pacing goes, which is bad guy expresses what they're about to do, gives your brain a second to go, oh, that's not good. And then there's always, they explain it or something, they exposit their story, and then someone comes in and stops them before they do it. Like rarely do you get to see a captain turn to Tuvok, who's now evil, and say, you're disappointing me. You need to be firing like a lot more.
Like keep going. Come on.
You stop because of what ... Or okay, doctor, who you have nothing but time on your hands, and can you please just create something to melt this person's brain so I can get the information I want, and then it's actually happening in front of you. You don't just hear it, and then the good guy comes and saves the day, or oh no, somehow our ship has been rocked and we've lost power and we can't complete our bad villainous idea. Because we're in this simulation sandbox, we get to see that story play out. Well, where you're right, Ian, this is an opportunity for the writers to go, well, if we just did have an evil captain that was on a warship that would do whatever, let's see them do the whatever. Yeah. And watching your favorite characters do the bad things makes you feel some kind of a way. For me, it was easier to watch because I haven't watched them a lot. But like for you guys, I'm curious with the beginning specifically, or just like the when the episode shows you the museum's version of history, did it make you, maybe you can't remember the first time that I can. Did it make you angry? Did it make you like, how did you feel? I'm curious. I know what you've got thoughts, but I want to hear it because this is Jonathan's episode today.
Yeah. Go for it, Jonathan.
Like, did it bother you a lot to watch that happen?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I like I said, I'm a fan of it felt to me like kind of just like their own, like a different type of mirror universe episode, which I always enjoy. And I don't remember like the first, I mean, I would have watched it when it aired. And I mean, I would have already kind of known what was going on anyways, because they probably would have shown it in the trailer the previous week or whatever, next week on Star Trek Voyager. So I don't know exactly how I don't remember exactly what my mindset was, but I remember thinking it was, it was a better episode than what, like this whole season was a lot of fun because I was probably towards the end of season 3, I was probably was thinking about just not watching the show anymore. And the Scorpion two-parter that ended season 3 and started season 4 was interesting enough to keep me going for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then this season just kept getting a little better as it went along. So this season's probably responsible for me even continuing to finish the series. And this episode would be one of those. So I just remember thinking it was a really cool idea. It was a really well executed kind of what if scenario. I think somebody mentioned what if in the comments earlier. I think that's a great way to describe this episode, and better than basically any actual what if episode that we've seen.
Oh,
they always seem to go not far enough or too far, don't they?
I don't know how controversial that is, though.
No, I mean you're right though. That was all I had to say. I was just you're right.
But anyways, yeah, no. So I hear you. But yeah, no, I don't remember. Like, I don't remember. I just remember like thinking it was a really good episode. I don't remember much beyond that. I just would have been a Wednesday night in college in my dorm. Probably I was watching this.
I'm envious.
What about you, Ian? What did you feel like? Was it betrayal? Because it was pretty. Yeah.
No, I remember. I don't know if this would have come into my head from like when I first watched it, because I think I would have been 9 or 10 when 7 or 9 or 8 or 9 when this came on TV. So I wouldn't have watched it until my dad had bought the VHS or there was a rerun on the TV or something. But what has always stuck out to me is the structure of it is really like cruel to begin with, and then immediately rewarding and then frustrating, because to begin with you have this account of Voyager that's pretty quickly revealed that it's a retelling of history in a museum hundreds and hundreds of years later, but no one is there to defend Voyager and to defend my Starfleet. And I'm just like, how are they, like, I know they're going to uncover some evidence and they're going to try and set it straight, because it's kind of easy to see that's where the story is going to go, but I'm like, how? Because I imagine like the injustice of having my story told. Let's say I hadn't a story important enough to be told 700 years from now, but to have it told by people who don't know and have got the facts wrong and are teaching it with such confidence. And I'm sure we're doing it now in lots of ways, but having that injustice is really cool. And then the Doctor turning up and the relief of, oh, that's great. He's the perfect person to come. He's a computer program. They can find the truth from him and he can speak on behalf of our crew and he can clear their name up. And then he's not believed because, damn it, we don't listen to science and we don't listen to proof so often if it's uncomfortable truths or it's something that changes our nice little worldview that we've put together, and just how he has to fight against that. So, yeah, I remember at some point feeling the injustice of no one being there to defend Voyager, and then the Doctor swooping in to save the day, and it's so well done.
I like that they didn't believe the Doctor, and then the guy comes back.
No,
go on, Jonathan. There's a bit of a delay. That's all. There's a huge delay now because he's frozen in time completely.
Oh no, we have a frozen in time episode.
He'll come back in 700 years.
Carry on with your thought, Jonathan, if you are back.
I am. I'm sorry, guys. And I hope I'm not repeating anything, because sometimes you guys are going in and out on me. So if I repeat something, I apologize. I was just going to say that I think another thing about probably I wasn't like upset or anything is because also, and this is a weakness of Star Trek, especially at the time, was there weren't always a lot of stakes. So it's not like I thought it's not like I thought something was going to happen that was like irreversible, because they just didn't do that back then on Star Trek. You didn't have like someone like, Michael, like killing, millions of people and all that kind of stuff like on Discovery. I mean, I guess you
starting an entire war.
But anyways, yeah, exactly. So I guess that probably factored into, like, I never really was like invested that in that way. I guess I was just kind of more just concentrating on whatever that particular story that episode was telling. So Voyager wanted to be that kind of show.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I've listened to interviews with the writers and stuff, and they like Year of Hell, for instance, that was supposed to be an entire season, and Rick Berman and company were like, yeah, we're not doing that, so it became a 2-parter. So they wanted to explore things with Voyager in the way that no other show was doing at the time, but I think they were just a little ahead of their time, and I think it also irritated because Deep Space Nine was kind of getting away with that because Ira Stephen Bear, from what I understand, was like, I don't really care what you say. I'm going to do what I want to do. And, so I guess they didn't have that luxury over, I don't know who was really running at this time. Jerry Taylor, maybe Brandon Braga.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I think that makes sense. Yeah.
It's interesting that you mentioned that not to invest that it's evil, like that this is true. But it's more that they play on the idea that there's an entire civilization somewhere in the future that thinks that Voyager was bad. And that injustice is hard to reconcile. And so the writers to kind of play on the idea that like your best case scenario of what actually happened from your perspective and this is true for life in general. And I have to talk to my daughter about this, as she's gaining friends, is like, sometimes you just have to know that you did your best. You didn't say that wasn't your intention. And you can't convince the other person otherwise. You just have to know in your heart that you did what you thought you were supposed to do. Mm-hmm. And it's really difficult when you know that somebody is misunderstanding you or that you feel misrepresented or like your best intentions to be loved and accepted by all is impossible. There's always going to be somebody that just does not like you for whatever reason. And you can't mold and change yourself to that. But when the show is like, yeah, maybe Voyager isn't for everybody, but it's more than that. It's like an entire civilization has been able to vilify these people that aren't that. Like I can imagine watching this with TNG and being like, no, that's not my captain.
Quit it.
So, it's such a clever thing to kind of take something beloved and go, yeah, we know that you guys won't believe that this is true, but these people believe it's true. And how does that feel? Yeah. So I think that's the depth of this.
Yeah, I agree.
Where this goes that hits on a more cerebral level, kind of like a deeper writing level or a deeper storytelling level where I don't just check out because it's a mirror episode. So we know they're evil and it's what they're supposed to do. It's more like, oh, okay, well, what is this episode trying to tell me now? Because what is the story? We're just going to pop into this little sector of the universe somewhere and see what happened when they encountered Starfleet. And then we're going to never see these people again, potentially. This is just like one of those episodes where you just sort of like pop in, pop out. But they don't just do that. They also bring in the idea of the Doctor existing, the Doctor having their own story, the Doctor sticking around and helping their civilization, the Doctor having a longing. So they give more to it so that when you walk away, you're like, I have so many different things I could think about, not just historical implications, but not just storytelling implications, but like if I love Voyager, then I get to have a moment where I get to see, this character. It kind of reminds me of checking in with the ship, the ship character.
Zora.
Yeah. What was that? What show was that one?
Discovery.
Yeah. So there was like, what happens to the ship character? Or like, even I think in Prodigy also, when we watched season 1, when I visited, there was an episode 2 about Janeway being a hologram and her being copied over as well. And so this idea of personalities existing kind of like in different sequence, there's just a bunch to think about watching this one. So even though it's heavy and serious, from even just like how they put it together, the storytelling, I was really impressed. And I didn't mind the acting either. I think it must have been a really fun day on set, to be honest.
Completely agree. And it's one of the reasons that I like this better as it is, as this like this simulation that's been misinterpreted, rather than it being a mirror universe episode. Because when I see I like the mirror universe episodes, but my biggest downside is how mustache twirly everybody is. All of like the evil people in Starfleet are the evilest people you could imagine, and it's hard for me to like buy into it as anything more than a holodeck program. Whereas this, it makes sense because this guy isn't writing a dramatic play, like he is subconsciously playing everything up. So I get the extra layers of villainy because I'm watching a bit of a hammy theater show that has like entertain people in a museum more than anything. So it gets a lot more buy-in from me.
That's a really interesting point.
I love the actor too. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go on.
I was to say, I don't have IMDb pulled up or anything, but I love the actor that plays the main guy as well. I like how he's got all this. Huh? Yeah. The guy that's on screen right now. Yeah, the guy who runs the museum. I think that actor does a really good job, and I think the writing's great there too, where you can see the conflict that he's going through. With he wants his version to be true because it paints his race in a much brighter light. Talk about relevant stuff today. But then he also still wants to know the truth because he's a good person, and I mean, I would assume. At least the episode doesn't give us any reason to think he's not, and he wants everything to be correct. Like he thinks the accuracy of the history is more important than anything. So that's an interesting there's a lot of interesting conflicts going on in this.
Yeah, his character is one of my
like favorite. Danae has already pointed out a bunch of times how writing. Yeah. Yep.
One of my favorite things about the museum curator character is the conflict, but you're kind of watching this person who has spent so much of their life obsessed with Voyager and what it means, and has carefully pieced together. Like there's a couple of times that he defends how well put together his curated museum artifacts are. For example, like the schematics of the ship that they found in the ocean that had taken some damage, and so they had to take some liberties. But he's kind of like defending the liberties because his intention was to give it the best care that he could with the information that he had. And you can kind of feel like he's not really the bad guy. He was genuinely attempting to give his people this historical moments, that we don't want to forget what really happened here moment, but then going, well, what really did happen here? And then the feeling that he must feel when that all starts to unravel, when he finds something and realizes it's the program, and then he shuts it off mid-sentence like, I can't. He's literally face to face with all of his hard work, no matter how much care he had, is still wrong. And so like,
he just slams the book shut. It's like, I don't like what this book is saying. I'm going to throw it away. I'm going to burn it. As a particular metaphor that springs to mind.
Yeah. And so I like that he does come back and say, no, I need to know more. Yeah. But the show presses in further and says, well, it's not just about this guy. He has bosses too, so then we're seeing even more conflict. And there's really a lot in this episode because it could be really simplified in a way. That could have just been his decision. Maybe it was his own private collection, but they even went that the curator had authority over him that had to make decisions. And it was very much a well thought out society. Like there's all these little lines that pepper through this episode to give you an idea of the existing conflict, the past conflict. Like even when the administrative lady says something like, my kids can't even go to the school in the center of town, just these little things to let us know. And then there's a fucking coup at the end when people come in and start destroying things. And at that point you're like, no, not this guy's hard work, even though it's all wrong. No,
Stop destroying. Well, the interesting thing is that it's the Vaskans that come in and start destroying everything, even though it's the professor's work or the curator's work that is now going to redeem them to some degree in the eyes of like the present. So it's so to not make, because you could say that like the victors rewrite history. That's the famous thing, or history is written by the victors. But by all accounts, the Kyrians weren't the victors. So they're writing this version of history that's wrong, and they still ended up on the losing side. It's just, you're right. It's so complicated. And I love the the curator, who the actor is Henry Warrow Nix. I can't pronounce his last name. Apologies, but he's incredible. He is hopefully who we're supposed to be. Like, this is an example, a very like kind of honest example of who to be in this situation. Like, yeah, instinctually, your first knee-jerk reaction will be, shut up, that's not my history, quit it. But eventually, like, he's intellectually honest enough to say, well, if I got the fact that the Doctor is an android wrong, who's to say what else I got wrong? And he's brave enough to come back to the table and say, this is going to be hard, but okay, let's start with some more facts and let's see what we can actually make out of this. And that's the hardest position to take as well.
It's definitely the heart of the story in a way for me.
That would have been great if the Doctor at one point was like, we didn't even own gloves.
We couldn't replicate them. Wanted to.
But that's there's the heart of the story and then there's the fun of the story, right? And the fun is that we do get to see the gloves. We do get to see 7 of 9 as a fucking Borg, assimilating people. We do get to see like Captain Janeway, like just fucking murk people. Like it is a episode that's like, okay. I know this isn't right, but I'm really having fun watching this because 7 of 9 as a Borg was so. I've never seen that because I didn't watch this show fully. I've only seen one version of 7 of 9. I've never seen her as a Borg before. That's my first time. And I was like,
oh, that's really so interesting. I had no idea. Oh, that's so fun.
It was so shocking. Like, she's like doing it sounded like a drill, but they were like little tiny piercers into the neck.
That's how you assimilate people.
Man, that is brutal and so cool all at the same time. That somehow on this ship were also little Borg pods. Just that somebody had taken 4 or 5 different novels that had fallen apart and then like put them back together in the wrong order and like they put Voyager together the total wrong way, but yet you're still like, oh, that's cool.
Yes. Oh, I love it. While we're talking about interpretations of history, there's one other thing that I love doing these rewatches because this is something I've only noticed on this watch. And it's the fact that even the Doctor's bias plays into his recreation of the true events as he remembers them as a computer. It's very subtle, but it kind of makes you wonder what else did he amp up, because when they start off and Janeway is very softly speaking to the ambassador and is just like, we're going to have your supplies, we'll get the dilithium, you're being very generous, I know how you feel. She does her little like combats to the Doctor and says, arrange for the supplies to be put into the cargo bay. And the Doctor is not only saying yes, he's already done it. He's already beamed the supplies over there because the Doctor is painting himself as this very efficient person. And when you get to the hostage situation, he says, I'll go in first. I've never seen him be that brave. Like, we know he's a hologram. He knows that. But he's always still, fine, send the Doctor in. I guess it doesn't matter. He's never that brave. He never says, I will go in first and I will do it because I will protect you, Janeway. I will protect you, Captain. So I was like, he's programmed that to paint himself in the best light possible. And I hope that was deliberate. It might be me reading too much into it, but it's so perfect that he also amps up this idyllic version of Voyager and how he is the hero of part of the story. And yeah, it's so true to the premise of the episode.
I wouldn't have caught that because I haven't seen a lot of the show and to know his character enough, but he does say something very subtle about like the programming being as close to as he can think of it, you know?
So,
Sass is there if you want to catch it.
Yeah, I love that so much. It's so much thought that even our true recreation will have biases in it. It's unavoidable. I love it. Jonathan, anything else specifically that you wanted to cover before we do some sins?
I don't know. I look forward to listening back to this since I missed a lot of it because of my internet connection.
Oh, did you want to mention Tim Russ? Like, you pointed out that Tim Russ directs this episode, and I had no idea, and that's fascinating to me.
I can't really think of anything else. What?
You mentioned that Tim Russ directs this episode, which is something I'd never realized or actually noticed. And I love the idea that Tuvok is the one that directs this like very violent episode.
Oh yeah. Tim, yeah, we did find out that Tim Russ directed this. I also saw that somebody was mentioning there's no I also saw that Roxanne Biggs Dawson was she had just had her baby, so.
That's why she's a bit absent. That makes sense.
You know,
we lost him. Goodbye, Jonathan.
Well, while we try and get a transporter lock on Jonathan, give us some pips, Ambassador.
I am.
I'm gonna say this one is a 3 out of 4. I think it has a lot of things I really like, and one thing I'll mention that I really enjoyed also that kind of like makes it into the 3 pipper for me is when we finally do get to see a little bit more of what really happened. Although yes, skewed the Doctor's vision, it reminded me about what Voyager feels like normally, and I really like it. Janeway is such a dominating presence. She has a commanding way. Like Picard is commanding as well. I mean, that's what you are. You're a commanding, officer. But when they're being boarded, for example, there's just this efficiency in everything that they're doing. Like Tuvok is like, they're on this level. She's like, going now. And it's just this very this by the books moment. This level has been cleared, and then that's immediately followed by her saying we're entering into this one. It's like everything is by the books. There's no this is what it's like when they've taken all of TNG and the questions they had about the efficiency, and then they've just like gotten far more efficient with I don't know. It felt very military, more military than I remember it being. I don't know. There was a level of intensity when it was the quote unquote correct version that I forgot about Voyager that I like. Because again, that's one of the things I like about Star Trek is that there seems to be some rules to this military operation, whether they're science vessel or they're whatever kind of vessel it is. There's the command that makes you feel comfortable there. And so that was the most accurate representation in this episode of what Voyager is usually like, and I really missed that, and it kind of makes me want to watch another episode of Voyager soon because I want to get a feel for the crew again. I don't know what we would watch, but I'm curious.
Spoiler, there are more episodes of Voyager on the way. Nice. For sure. You're right.
I think I go 3 pips on it because it had just about everything. There was action, there was mystery, there was shock value, there was heart, there was a character study, there's historical study. It's got kind of everything you want an episode to have. There was medical jargon and techno jargon and a tiny little bit of a space battle, just a little bit of one, not a lot, but
some phases.
But yeah, I thought it was good storytelling.
Yeah, I'm with you, but I'm going to give it a 4 pips. Like I said at the top of the show, this is just what Star Trek does best for me. It takes a topic, wraps it up in an entertaining episode of television, has a bit of silliness with it, and just it knows the message that it's trying to communicate to us, and it does it really well, and it gets to have fun by making everybody evil and zappy, and I get to see a version of Voyager that I never got to see with like extra phasers and stuff. It's like a 10-year-old was like, how are you going to make Voyager cooler? We're going to put more phasers on it. It's going to have 38 torpedo tubes. I'm like, wow, 38, okay, that's a lot, but we're here for it.
And black gloves.
And black gloves. You got to have the black gloves.
Yeah.
Jonathan.
Yeah, it's like playing with your action figures, right? It's like, oh, today they're going to be evil.
Exactly. How many pips out of 4, Jonathan?
Oh no.
Oh, this is an easy 4 for me. This is, I think, a top 10 of the series.
Nice.
I think it's probably maybe even a top 25 episode of Trek. It's one of my favorites, so or at least top 50. No, it's an easy
top 50.
Yeah, that list ever changes. So many. It's why I haven't shared my top 5 yet.
Of all of Star Trek, not just Voyager. I want to make sure I made that clear.
Yeah, you did.
That's amazing. Yeah, like I said, 4 pips for me. I love it. It does so much. Let's head over to engineering and do some sins for what is, for a chunk of it, an unsinnable episode. 3 to beam to engineering. Blah, blah, blah. This is the part of the show where we re-engage our sin brains, remind ourselves that no TV show is without sin, even our beloved Star Trek. I mentioned it's almost impossible to sin because chunks of it, the point is to sin it. Like, the Doctor is cinema sins for a big chunk of this episode, pulling apart the inconsistencies and things that don't make sense. So I found myself writing stuff down where I was just like, no, but it's the simulation. So it's just an inaccurate retelling. So, of course, it doesn't make sense that certain things are happening this way. But there are still sins. Ambassador, go first.
Yeah, it was a weird one to sin. But I did have a couple and I'm trying to get back to it. So maybe skip me and go to Jonathan first. So
Jonathan, as our guest, you can go first.
We've made a bunch of jokes about it, but I would be curious to see where he got all the ideas for like how they looked. Like, I just like, why does Janeway have that haircut, and why, and where did that face tattoo come from? Because Chakotay actually did have kind of a face tattoo, but like, where, I don't know. It was just all that I thought was like, I was really, maybe that's more of a curiosity than a sin, but yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely something that I've thought about.
There's a lot to pull from.
Yeah, I guess he's just extrapolating a lot. And so maybe there's a log that says, but he said he didn't even have any logs.
No, he didn't.
I don't even know where like he got the tattoo from. And I want to know like where this like schematic that fell into the ocean came from as well. Yeah. Like, was Voyager just like, I know some stuff was stolen, but was like Voyager just shedding parts into the ocean? How did a schematic end up getting stolen during that brief invasion? But yeah, a lot of that is, I guess, just open to interpretation.
Or a torpedo, or
an entire torpedo.
Yeah, I guess, and this is probably a question I should have asked before the sins, but that's just what I do to things out of order. Is this the only time that we ever hear about this conflict? Do you know?
Between the Kyrians and the Doodars?
Yeah, and the Voyager's part in it.
Yes. Yeah, this is the only time. Yeah.
So I think
I believe so.
I think given like what we saw, it was also a bit confusing. Like, what role did Voyager actually play? And I understand that that's not part of the episode. Like, we're not important to actually know, but yeah, there's just this sort of quick reference to, and I guess the Kyrians or whomever stole my programming off of something at some point in time. But there seems to be a lot of things left over somehow. So if the real Voyager got back to Earth at some point, then they must have left some things behind that were here at this place. And I guess we'll never really understand that one. So maybe, I don't know how I would actually go about like writing that sin, but it is still a bit confusing how, like, what was left over from 700 years ago? Is it at that point it's too long to really know for sure anyway? It doesn't matter.
Yeah, you're kidding? Like 100 years and you start getting really sketchy. So I really tried to listen out this time around for it, because I was thinking, wait, why was Voyager such a huge part of these people's history that 700 years ago they're still being talked about? And after that initial attack where the Kyrians beam over and they steal the stuff, the Doctor says that after that Voyager was attacked by 9 ships. And that one sentence is, I think, where all of the stuff happens, because that's where the torpedo must have happened. Some stuff got stolen. They get involved in the battle. But I agree with you, Danae. Like, I can't understand why Voyager hung around in this conflict long enough to become a crucial part of their history. Like, it should have been, okay, bye, we've done our trade, we'll leave. Like, they really shouldn't be firing a single torpedo or hanging around long enough to be part of history.
Yeah, it was confusing. Like, they do have some things. They do, and they have an ability to recreate it, and that was very, very confusing. It's fun to see the things that they got wrong, but knowing how they got the reference for hair or personality, or even if they got that one guy who kind of was like a womanizer or whatever, got him mostly right, as the joke is.
It's one of my favorite lines. You got everything wrong other than Tom Paris. You nailed him. It's so brutal. My biggest sin, and we can kind of blame Prodigy for this a little bit, is that Voyager, this is 4 years into Voyager's journey. He says that they're like 65,000 light years from home, which means they've already traveled about 20,000 or something like that. So in 700 years, what we're saying is that Starfleet never made it back to the Delta Quadrant to right this wrong and to talk to them themselves. I guess maybe they never made it to this planet, but with Prodigy, we know that they go back to the Delta Quadrant pretty quickly. And I can't imagine that during all 700, like it's taking us 200 years to get pretty established in the Alpha Quadrant, and we're heading into the Beta and Gamma Quadrant. 700 years later, there's still no Starfleet in the Delta Quadrant that can defend itself and set the story right. So it's one of those things that the more Star Trek we have, the more inaccurate that's going to be, unless we acknowledge that we never explored the Delta Quadrant until 3200.
Yeah.
No, I love this. I love this point. I didn't even think about this. But even then, like, are you telling me like Voyager gets back from the Delta Quadrant and like Starfleet doesn't think we should go do more investigating in the Delta Quadrant? Because I mean, they would. They absolutely would.
Well, we know they do.
What,
from Prodigy.
I'm talking about prior to like Star Trek Prodigy and stuff coming out. I'm talking about like the end of Well, they do in Prodigy. Yeah, I'm just saying. But even if we're saying that, I think you could still send it at that time though, because like just the idea that Voyager gets back after being stuck in this quadrant, like Starfleet wouldn't get involved somehow and do, I don't know. Yeah, I think you're right though. I think that's a good point.
One of my sins would be, did Voyager make it home cliche, which I only watched like again very little of Voyager, but every fucking episode it seemed to be that was something that they said, are we going to make it home? And like that was the big hook for why you watched Voyager, just to see if they made it home. And so I just feel like when the doctor asks this question and then the curator is like, I've always wondered that too, I would just be like, we all were wondering it. And
well, it's the biggest sin of Voyager because it is the hook. And to be honest, they do very little with it. Like, other than put them in a location that doesn't have Klingons, Romulans, Cardassians, you've got new aliens to talk about. It's not often that they actually deal with rations and running out of shuttles and torpedoes and food. It obviously comes up in a couple of episodes, but largely by the time
they
you get to
use the holodeck constantly.
Yes.
Like they're just using.
Don't use the holodeck.
Like, what a waste of energy.
You've got Ireland being replicated on a holodeck full time. Like, the energy crisis just disappears. So yeah, the will we ever get home is only important when it's decided to be important. Otherwise we're okay.
This episode sins even deeper, and it says, did the second Doctor ever make it back to Earth? Like, now you've added a whole other question.
Yeah.
Now we need that show.
Now we need to know, what happened to this Doctor?
Yeah, we do. And what's really interesting is that, so this is always going to happen when Star Trek jumps about in time. Discovery is set around about 3100, and this is set in 3074. So this is the same time period as Discovery. So in theory, this holographic Doctor, assuming the original holographic Doctor isn't still around, this one could be floating around during Discovery time. And we know that, like, this has blown my mind a little bit. This was such a perfect episode to watch because the new Starfleet Academy show is coming, and that's set at the same time as Discovery. We know that Robert Picardo is reprising his role in some form, but we don't know if he's going to be a descendant of the creator, like we have with Dr. Soong and Data's creator, or it's going to be an EMH, a hologram. Is it going to be this Doctor from Living Witness? It would be incredible if it opens with him saying, yep, I made it back. I'm not the original. This is how I'm 700 years in the future. It would be a deep cut and it would be incredible.
And then Tom Riker shows up and we're like,
yes.
Oh Lord.
All of the duplicates, but he surprisingly looks like Jonathan Frakes looks now, conveniently.
Joe, I think somebody brought that up in the comments early on. I forgot that Picardo was going to be on. Sorry, Danae, Robert Picardo. I forgot he was going to be on Starfleet Academy. I'm so excited about that series.
It's anyway, great cast.
Holly Hunter, man. Holly Hunter's going to be going to be weekly television. And Paul Giamatti. What is going on here?
It's incredible. It's so good.
Can we talk about, are we done with Senzo? Because I did want to say that the backup Doctor confuses me. It always, like, I don't know that I have anything specific. I don't know that I have anything good scientific to say about it, but just the backup module just seems like it's mentioned, like it's referenced so rarely. It just seems like a super convenient plot device. Like to do this episode, they needed something, to bridge it. So they're like, oh yeah, we'll just use this random backup module we talked about making like 2 seasons ago. So I don't know.
Well, what's interesting is that you need somebody in the future that's disposable, because it has to be somebody that next week is still on the crew when you go back 700 years into the past. And it's really telling that the backup thing, I don't think is ever used again. And there are times when it would be really, really useful to just save a backup, because every time the Doctor steps off the ship with his holographic emitter, that is, you're taking a risk that you now don't have a Doctor anymore. And your backup is Tom fucking Paris. Like, he's your next nurse. Like, that's it. He should never leave the ship. So yeah, it's weird that the backup generator is mentioned in... Yeah. No, Kessa's gone by this point, isn't she?
Oh, that's true. By this point, she is gone. You're correct. She left midway through the season, I think, is when she was gone. Yeah,
she... Oh, I thought she actually left in... Yeah,
it was after Jerry Ryan came on the show.
Yeah. She's in a few episodes of season 4, yeah. But yeah, the backup thing is just... It's used for this plot and then never used again. So yeah, I definitely had that as a sin. There was one other one I really wanted to mention. This just really made me laugh, because when the Doctor is turned back on and he has his little freak out and he says, no, I don't believe it, and he runs away, man, is he lucky that he didn't run off the holodeck and get dissolved. Like, he's really lucky that there are emitters everywhere in the museum, because the curator could have been like, no, wait, don't run through that, and then he's gone. He just dissolves, and that's the end of his story. That's amazing. We've definitely seen that.
I have a question. It is probably a sin, but you can probably explain it to me too. How do 4 people beam onto a ship without, like, is it because their shields weren't up?
No, they were up.
So the shields were up. They were at like 86% or something.
Correct.
Yeah, that kind of confused me too, to be honest.
So how did these invaders get onto, and this is like the true version,
yes,
when 4 intruders go on to engineering and they kill some people, which, by the way, I loved the sin from the chat. I don't know if I can find it quickly, but it was like not knowing that person's name, like
7 of 9 plus someone else was taken.
Yeah,
brutal. You've got a crew of 100 and I think it's like 110 150 people around there, and you couldn't fucking name him.
It was Sir Ruthie.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
Injured a crewman hostage.
Yeah, like,
by name,
or just say like, yeah, like you should know that's Phil or whatever.
At this point, 7 of 9 has been there for maybe a month. Like she hasn't been on the crew that long.
That's true.
Yeah. She should be called something else. She should have the nickname. But anyway, so casualties have happened, and then they're doing this like invasion thing, and when they get to engineering, there's this like take everything that you can. How can someone beam into engineering so specifically? Like,
it's like I know that I've watched too much Star Trek, because as soon, like Harry says 86% shields, and then I heard the intruder alert siren, which is a specific siren that is used in TNG. I think they use the same sound effect. And I was like, wait, that's the intruder alarm. That can't be right. And it's not right.
You know too much Star Trek.
It's way too much, because before anybody says there are intruders in engineering, I'm like, wait, there can't be intruders. And then they confirm that there are intruders, and I'm like, no, there can't be intruders. Your shields are still up. So I kind of put it down to maybe the Doctor recreated the scenario wrong, but that's a huge mistake, because if Voyager doesn't have shields, they're dead. Like, you're destroyed, gone. That's it.
Maybe because some of the commenters are making a comment they got in that 14%. I mean, maybe you could do that, but I would think the likelihood that you would hit that right spot when you were transporting is
hold on,
very slim.
Hold on.
No, yeah.
Hold on. I need your help. Because you guys are Star Trek people. So what you just said is there's holes.
No.
Hold on. So
I'm wrong.
Does that mean that the shield turns into like Swiss cheese?
No, because you would just all you would need is like a 1% gap, and then you keep targeting that 1% hole.
I'm sorry.
It's like a strength thing. It's like the percentage is nonsense.
Weird.
No.
I said that weird. I'm saying if that was possible.
Yes. I see. Okay.
I still have
literally
a hard time
punch a hole in their shields.
Like, you would hit that.
There's just always this thing like you don't do, and you can't. Otherwise, every single episode is just beam me over to engineering, and I'll blow up their warp core and beam me back out, and that's just how everybody messes with their stuff.
I'll just beam a torpedo into the ship. Then forget that. The warp core. I'm just going to beam a torpedo next to the warp core, which they do to a Borg ship at one point, but that's besides the point. But yeah, the beaming is a huge technical mishap that doesn't make any sense if you're a nerd.
Says that you can beam through shields if you know the frequency. So I guess we have
but
some explanation there.
There is no way they got the frequency. There's no way they found that out, and it isn't mentioned at all.
You don't know that because we're seeing whatever.
I mean,
yeah.
I don't know. It's nonsense. I don't like it. Yeah, and even if you did know the frequency, you would do something else with it other than this. You don't need to beam people onto the ship. Just beam everyone into space.
That's right. Little bubbles. Little bubbles just floating everywhere.
It's amazing.
I think that
why have they never done that? Have they done that where they just beamed a bunch of people off a ship into space?
Man, yes.
They have in lower decks.
Well, hold on a second.
That's right.
There was
that just sounds like something like Romulans would do or something.
That's racist.
They didn't beam everybody into space. I'm having a memory.
Go on, Danae.
We're going into a nebula that warps things. And then all of a sudden the ship turns into an old ship and people are just like falling off of it into space. What was that from?
That was from the Fisher Quest. So the ships...
Fisher?
Fisher Quest. Damn it, Tommy, we've done this before. Fisher Quest.
As in Fisher Price? No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
Shut up. Because...
Fisher.
Yeah, Fissure. That's how you say it in England. Fisher Quest.
Oh God,
do you have people with the last name Fisher in England?
Nobody. They'd be laughed into insanity.
We have so many things. It's just like,
oh my gosh,
like we need a new name. It's like, well, I'm going to be Hunter, or I'm going to be Baker. I'm a Smith, so I'm just going to be Smith.
Yep, that's it. We started it. But yeah, the Klingon ship gets turned into an old sailing barge.
That's what it
was. And then
they're
floating into space. Yeah.
Because they didn't have the shields that were with the nebula. I remember now. Anyway, they shouldn't have been able to beam on. That's bullshit.
No. Correct. Completely agree.
That's a good call. I didn't even think about it.
Anything else we want to cover? I could go into more, but they were my big ones.
I didn't have anything else. Perfect episode. Go on.
Right.
I like how the chat sent humanity a lot of sins about just humanity still revising history, uncomfortable
Humans.
appropriateness for humans. I guess we're talking about this, that kind of thing. Yeah. And then we'll go over, I guess, the other ones when we get to the end of
it. Hang around in the outtakes for some more listener submitted sins, which you can also do by email or join us in the live show as well. But next week, thank you, Jonathan, for picking that episode for us. It is, I love it more now than I ever have. Like, it's not one that I revisit a lot. It's one that I'm going to revisit more, and it sums up the theme really well.
You know, Danae mentioned in the whole like sinning humanity thing. I remember like I did not even think about the parallels when I was picking. I was just picking some of my favorite episodes, and then we started watching this. I'm like, do I want to watch this right now? Like, this is kind of putting me, you know, this is kind of putting me in a weird mood because it's like there's too much of this is too realistic.
It's scary.
It a bit reminded me about whenever I used to watch Grey's Anatomy all the time, and they did COVID during COVID. And I was just like, I don't want to be watching a pandemic episodes while I'm in a pandemic. But at the same time, that's one of the beautiful things of storytelling.
Absolutely.
And I think Star Trek has done it over and over again as it hits on some themes in a season when I think it's important. And I wonder what was going on in this time, or if it was just like, we want to do a revisionist history episode, because there's sometimes I think we watched TOS and there were specific episodes about like specific wars or specific things going on in like U.S. history at that time.
A lot of Vietnam War stuff.
So it's like, that was going on at this time. Revisionist history is something, it's obviously really relevant now, but I'm curious what the inspiration was, if it wasn't just like we need to talk about this.
Yeah, back in 98.
Oh.
Like, what would it be?
Yeah,
what would it be? I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I think this is just kind of unfortunately, this is just a general problem that we've always had.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of relevant.
It stays, unfortunately,
I can't think of anything
it stays
specific in 98. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, obviously, we had war in the Middle East going on.
When do we not?
Womp womp. Way to end on a really bummer note.
But Star Trek being relevant, as relevant in the 90s, 70s, 80s, 60s as it is today. Yeah, that's the message. Love this episode, even though it's hard. So next week the theme continues, and I think we're going to sit in this fan favorite theme for a long time. I'm not going to say that sounds horrible. I think we're going to stay in this fan favorite theme for at least the next few weeks, because you all are submitting some incredible episodes that, selfishly, heck, I just want to watch them. So next week will be, I never have my picture ready, for crying out loud. Next week we will be covering Star Trek TNG Pegasus, season 7, episode 12. I can hear the collective yes from the crowd.
I love horses.
It's about horses. Go with that.
100%.
Horses. Yeah.
There's definitely.
I was going to say, I'm not a huge season 7 fan overall, although All Good Things is one of the best finales ever. But the Pegasus is one of the exceptions to that season. It's a great episode.
Yeah. If you don't like techno jargon, brace for impact, because there's definitely techno jargon in this one. But this is an all-time classic episode of Star Trek. It's so good. I'm so excited. Thank you, Daniel, for submitting that one. That's what we'll be covering next week. If you have any questions, emails, queries, qualms, or updates, or anything you want to share with us, send it to captainspod@cinemasins.com. Join our lovely CinemaSins people on our lovely Discord. We have a Captain's Pod channel where we talk spoilers about the new shows, Star Trek in general. We share memes, and we love each other with our Star Trek appendages. That's discord.gg/cinema. discord.gg/CinemaSins. It's way less horny than that. And like the Pegasus. And so just do that stuff. We'll be live next Monday, the 24th of February, potentially at 1 p.m. Central Time, but we'll update you in the Discord and on Blue Sky if any of that changes. Thank you, Jonathan, for joining us. Anything you want to plug before we beam you into, into space?
I mean, I'm on some of the socials. I'm still on Twitter, and I'm on Blue Sky and Letterboxd, and on all those, I think I'm Sam Loomis 13. So I pretty much just stick with Sam Loomis 13. It's easier. I don't have a good memory.
Nice.
So yeah.
Amazing.
And listen to this podcast. Listen to our other great podcast, Recotopia, which might be better because I edit it. I'm just kidding.
Amazing.
I just want to brag about my editing.
That is not the way I thought that was going to go. That was amazing.
No, I'm joking. But that's Chris Atkins and Jeremy Scott and Aaron Dicer recommending movies and talking about fun stuff. I think they're about to do their end of the year or their best of the year one, which is always
that's coming up.
Which is always fun. So since I don't have a podcast, I guess I'll just prep all my. God, I cannot talk today. I guess I'll just shout out all my friends' podcasts. So
amazing. Danae, anything to plug? You got anything this week?
Nothing really this week. I mean, you can still catch the podcast that I am attempting to create as I go called Search for Spark. And you can find that on patreon.com/search for Spark. That's SPARK, not Spock for you Star Trek lovers. like the spark of life, like spark as in fire.
What if Spock is your spark?
That could happen on an episode. So right now I'm still just beta testing it. So it is about once a week I'll release some content and get your feedback on it before I decide what I'm actually going to be launching out to the public.
So and Danae shared some of that content with me, and it was awesome, and I highly recommend it as well.
Thanks, Jonathan.
Thirded or seconded? Seconded. Thirded? Seconded. Do you count as one of the three?
Too late. I got there before you.
Yeah, you did. Damn it. Well, until next week, go and do all of those things. I'm Captain Ian, and it's history has been abused from me.
I just happen to be an invulnerable to phaser fire, but I appreciate the compliment from me.
Oh no, I lost mine.
From me.
Oh no, are you so proud you'd let your people die before you humble yourself?
Ooh, live long and controversial, Podspur.
That's nice.
We did it! Woo!
Yay!
Back to you guys, live chatters. What a fun show! I'm very excited to see that the large portion of the raid decided to stick around for our Star Trek podcast.
That's awesome.
Hi everyone. There's at least 50 Star Trek fans out there.
You did great, Jonathan. You're doing the best you can. You're doing the best. Thanks,
I just felt that because I kept missing stuff. So
yeah. So the most recent one was actually Iris. I sat down with her on a snow day last week, and we recorded something together. And you guys, she was so cute on that episode. She just
oh my gosh,
this is
so adorable.
And she was just like this. Blah, 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 blah. And she's just talking about it. And she's like, well, that's what I think. And I said, hey, do you want to record a podcast episode with me? And she's like, sure. She goes, hi, everybody. Welcome to my podcast. Just like
that's
right
my
away.
Favorite part is that you do like this transition and immediately she does the intro and takes over.
It was amazing.
I will tell you something to be prepared for. As someone who had a young daughter on one of his podcasts like 7 years ago, she still talks about it. And she still explains how she's super popular because of it and how she should get to come to needs to do other podcasts with us because everybody loves her. And, so.
Yes. Well, I mean, we have a couple of really fun ideas. We're doing a series right now. She asked me to read her a book at night. At night, I try to read something to her. She usually asks for 1 or 2 books. And the other night, I didn't want to get out of bed. I was like, I'm not going to get out of bed for a book. And she goes, well, can you please make one up? And I was like, of course I can make something up. So I started making a story, and I kind of wrap up my story. And she goes, okay, chapter 2.
That's amazing.
So I said, okay. So then the next night she goes, okay, it's chapter 3. And I finished up chapter 3. And she goes, okay, chapter 4, 2 a night, Mom. And I'm like, oh, it's because we used to do of our series we did when we were doing Magic School Bus. So she and I were talking about going back in and bringing everybody up to speed on the story that we're writing at night, because she kind of would add a couple things every once in a while. She also wants to make stickers to sell for the stories. And then we have developed a game online, and I thought about also possibly trying to bring more people into the game. So it was pretty fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Frozen
Slab just brought up it was
Frozen
Frozen 2. That was the episode Kenzie was on.
That's so funny. That's amazing.
I love that. She's really fun to talk to. And it's always interesting to hear how like a little one talks about life.
Yeah.
But what was really fascinating for me about the most recent episode, we were talking about, so she was having like a bullying situation at recess, and she ended up asking me to help her kind of figure out how to get through it. And I hadn't really circled back to that in a few weeks. And I didn't realize that she had sort of not needed this coping mechanism anymore, which was great to hear. Like, I genuinely in the moment say, like, do you still need to use this coping mechanism? I don't use those terms, but do you need to do this anymore? She's like, no. I said, or do you have everything you need inside of you? And she says, I have everything I need inside of me. And I was like, man, I'm so glad that we're having this conversation, and also capturing it in the moment is really special as well. But it was nice to get caught up with her that she's, I don't know, kind of feeling more confident in her new school and talking to this older kid that kind of keeps razzing her a bit. So, and she told me about a moment when he was struggling on the playground by himself, and she went to go comfort him and become his friend. So there's just so much to learn from her. And
it really it plays like a Steven Spielberg movie or something. Like, it's really like kind of super sweet, and you're like, that's not believable. It just happens in stories. But she's telling you this thing that happened and this moment of kindness that she had upon her, and it does give you hope for humanity. It really is like, man, if there are kids out there that can find a way to be kind to people that have not been kind, how much could that change?
Yeah. Bildo, yes, it is a tabletop role-playing game.
Technically, it is. Yes,
it is. Yeah,
that she has a mother that listens to her and engage. So all that that's your relationship with her.
Yeah, thank you. It's debilitating becoming a parent, because all of a sudden you're like, every decision is now the most important decision that I've ever made, and because I'm somebody who overthinks every decision, it's been a lot of mental fatigue. And so now that she's getting older and able to do more things without my help, it's shifting from her needing to have help, getting food out of the refrigerator, to coping with how to feel like her identity is solid inside of these evolving social structures at school and things like that. So those are really interesting things, I think, to talk about. And that's definitely going to show up on the podcast, because that's my life. But I'm also excited to just talk about other things. I have a list of all of these articles that I've been saving that I just want to talk to somebody about. And I'm like, I could just put that on. Hey guys, I'm going to go through all of my episode, all the things that I've been saving that I'm just curious about, and educate myself on some stuff. So that could kind of be fun.
And you can ask people about how Star Trek shields work and see what kind of response you get.
Swiss cheese.
Holes.
Like cheese.
Yeah, absolutely. I also want to show you guys a self-portrait that she drew of me. And
oh, that's amazing. What are you holding?
I mean,
is it an apple?
I don't know what picture you show me. I just see Danae in front of me.
Portrait. When do we see the portrait?
I was really impressed, actually. She got the nose. She did my lips. She did the little chin
glasses.
Little cheek apples. Yeah, I remember a kid being annoyed.
I missed that age.
When I drew myself, I'd have to put glasses on because I didn't have contact lenses until I was 15. And it was always annoying that I had to draw myself with glasses because I couldn't draw glasses properly. I was like my face is passable there, but now I have to put glasses on it, and the glasses look dumb because you can't get the perspective on the arms right. So yeah, glasses are tricky. You've made it hard for her.
Oh, I was really impressed, and I genuinely was super impressed. She's getting.
You should put contacts in and be like, now draw contacts.
Yeah, little halo.
She told me the day, she's like, I don't like how I look. And I said, oh, that makes my heart hurt. I'm sorry that you feel that way. Like, what is there something about the way that you look that you don't like? Instead of saying like, stop it, you shut up, you're beautiful. Like, I just like, okay, you don't like the way you look. Let's talk about what it is. I was curious. And she says, I don't have glasses like you do.
Oh,
she just wants to look like her mama. And because she doesn't have them, it makes her feel awkward. Sweet. And I was like, oh, really okay. That's not like, my teeth are crooked or whatever.
Yeah.
This is interesting though, because my daughter likes to wear glasses too. And it's like, I remember being a kid hating that I had to wear glasses. Like I didn't know any, and now it's like, I want to wear glasses. It looks better. I'm like, okay.
It wasn't until I got to college when David Tennant was the doctor, and he had these big square glasses that he would put on. Suddenly glasses were great. And I'm like, where were you 10 years ago, asshole? Like, now everybody wants my glasses. And just a matter of years earlier, you were like bullied for it. So there has been a cultural shift with glasses, as I'm sure it happens over time and ebbs and flows.
I'm fine with that because I can't put my finger in my eye and I'm not doing LASIK. Right. So
I also told her that we could just pick up some frames and she could wear glasses if she wants to. If this is part of the style that you want to have, it's not too difficult to just put some glasses on. And she said, I totally forgot about sunglasses. Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, they exist.
I wear sunglasses all the time. What do I? So
I like how you said you answered that, or you responded to her comment, because it's like, because my daughter will sometimes do stuff like that. She'll be like, I'm like, my daughter will say she's fat. My daughter, believe me, if she's fat, I don't even know what I am. But it is like easy to just immediately be like, no, you're not. Don't be, don't be dumb or whatever. And it's like, but there's, to actually think about it and be like, that gives me things to think about. But I like
the thought is coming from somewhere in getting to the why is just as important as fixing it. We are fixers. We want to fix things.
Yeah, we do. But I think that sometimes when we fix things, we inadvertently dismiss them.
Yes. Yeah, so, very true.
Yeah. Maybe it is.
I think people want to. They bring that up. They want to have a conversation about it.
Yeah, they do.
More than likely. Yeah.
So what happens when you say to a little one, like, oh, that hurts my heart because it makes me feel like you don't like how you look. But what is it that you're talking about? Like, what does fat mean to you? Because fat might mean something different, Yeah,
exactly.
And then you go deeper into it. And then, you can say, is this an opinion that you want to change? Or do you like that you're talking about yourself like this? Like, as they get older, for Iris, she's also listening to TV shows where there's characters that are like, nobody likes me, and then so she'll say, nobody likes me. And I'm thinking, oh, do you really feel this way? Or are you experimenting with just repeating something because you're going to get attention? So I kind of try to change up.
She's working on impressions.
Yeah, that's what it is.
She's like her mom. Yep. But those are the conversations I really want to have more regularly. When I was in radio, it would be the perfect time to have these chats because the audience is like 90% women or something. And most of them were mothers because of the radio station that I was on. Most of the people that were listening were in that genre. And I wasn't. I joked around about being the parent to dogs and that I was equally able to relate to any parent because I have dogs.
I'm sure they love that.
I loved goading them into like that. Oh, it's different. I'm like, no, it's the same. I am still cleaning up poop and pee on the carpet instead of in a diaper. It's really similar.
And having conversations.
Yes, yeah. We talk all night long.
Sending them to their rooms.
They're hairy. Kids are hairy. Like there's a lot. Drool. It's all there. So that was kind of something that, and Aaron had 4 children and still does, but they were like all at home and everything.
They're still alive, everybody.
They made it.
And so we would like play back and forth. But the big thing was like, man, it's just too bad, Danae, that you don't have kids because it'd be fun to hear you talk about kids. And then when I have one, I'm not in radio anymore. So I do want that outlet to just kind of chat. So thanks for those of you watching right now, thanks for letting us kind of talk about it a bit. That's not usually what you're here.
Sons and daughters are different too, because like stuff Aaron says, I don't, I'm like, oh, I don't, having a daughter as opposed to a son. I mean, there's definitely some variety there too, that, he's got different perspectives than I do on certain things. And it's interesting to hear. Or, yeah.
Yep.
I have spaceships, and they take a lot of care, and when they break, I'm inconsolable. Like I couldn't show Voyager off today because Voyager is broken. It's I can relate. I can honestly absolutely relate to what you guys are talking about. It's the same thing. Yeah.
It's the same thing.
That's very similar to your 3-year-old daughter or your 3-year-old daughter falling over and knocking her head on the bathtub and having a Looney Tunes fucking thing.
I get it. Like the nacelle is off. The nacelle is literally on the floor.
I'm sure the stress that both of us felt in those two situations were exactly the same.
Yeah, 100%. So what happened with Voyager? It's way worse. It's worse than the bathtub thing. Way worse. This is a design fault. I don't think you can blame a design fault for your daughter falling into the bathtub. But Voyager, the way it's on the stand is that if you nudge a table, it yeets itself off of the stand and into the Delta Quadrant. It is the worst stand I've ever seen. And it fell off like 5 times. And on the 5th time, it broke and it was in 2 pieces. And I was like, I didn't realize that Voyager had a source of separation mode. Turns out it doesn't. But my model does. And that's where it's now. I could go and get it, but it hurts to parade my failure in front of the live audience.
Wow. That's really, does the shields have holes? That's the problem. Is it the shields have holes?
Yeah, the hole being the stand. The stand was the hole in that situation.
This is the question. Why are you smacking the table that it was on?
Have you seen how small my recording studio is? It's like I just have to turn. I can't cry havoc and spin my chair around without smashing into 7 things.
We're actually all about to join you for dinner because it is time.
Guess who's coming to dinner?
Thank you to everybody for being here, especially for the Moko crew for sticking around. Thank you guys for being on Twitch and also on YouTube and joining us on Mondays for Captain's Pod. Hey, sometimes our start time does change. So if that happens, we send out the update to Discord first. So please join Discord. I think somebody put it up in chat earlier, but if you do _Discord in Twitch, it'll have a link for you that you can follow. But it's discord.gg/CinemaSins. And if you join that, there's a little chat room called Captain's Pod, and that's where you'll find our updates. So sorry again for the unexpected late start, but we will be back to our normal scheduled programming next week, all things going well. And thank you guys for being here. Jonathan, thank you for being here with us too.
Yeah, we love you, Jonathan.
Thank you. Always fun.
There is a Patreon link. You can support CinemaSins at patreon.com/CinemaSins. And then also for those of you who are watching on my Twitch channel, there is a chance that I will be going live for Baldur's Gate again. I think possibly tonight. I'm thinking that there's a pretty good chance that we're going to be doing some Baldur's Gate because, well, I'm addicted. So if you want to watch some very low, and this is not, we're not talking about like screens that are like fading in and out. This is derping my way through that. You can follow on twitch.tv/Danae Says. So can you rate your buddy? Yes, let me pull that up before we go and I will rate your buddy. Who's your buddy?
Are you in the back end or can you do it from your channel?
I believe I can do it.
Nothing about that sounded perverted.
8.
What? What's wrong?
No, what Jonathan said about me being perverted.
Oh, yeah.
No, I just heard, can we do it from your back end? Or
Okay, let's see. I got that one here. 1 second. We're going to get it all figured out.
Womp womp.
By the way, Flyboy, if you're still there, thank you for all your facts throughout the episode.
Yes.
Oh, Flyboy is a fountain of knowledge. I love it.
It's so great.
And I didn't know you
brought up a good point that when I said Holly Hunter was on network television or whatever, she actually did do another series a while back called Saving Grace, and I had forgotten about that.
But it's a rarity. Yeah.
Okay, I'm nearly there. Okay. Let me get the link here. Good night, Sir Ruthie. You guys want to hang out for just a second? You can join the raid. We don't really ever do this, so it's exciting. Bildo, Max.
I think it's funny that Link between the three of us thinks I'm the one that needs HR. Okay.
Who do you think it would be?
I honestly, like, out of all of us, like, Dicer weirdly would be the one probably.
He does get handsy with me.
I don't think he realizes how. No, I just don't think he realizes how perverted some of the stuff he says is. Like, I'm just.
He's such an innocent brain. He had so many years of having to bury it, and now he can just unleash it upon our faces.
No, I think we're all. I think we're all polite, mature individuals for the most part.
Okay, it looks like over on this end there is maybe some reaction videos happening. We've got somebody, Max Vibes. 1 hour left for a subathon, so there's a lot going on here. Hi, I'm Max, they, them. You can catch me gaming, yapping as a host of the Secret Garden Society podcast or rolling dice on Buds and Blades. Thanks for stopping by. So for those of you guys, we don't usually do raids on this stream, but I'm going to go ahead and head you guys over that way, and then we will end our stream over here and see you guys next week. So say hello on behalf of CinemaSins and have a good time over at Max Vibes, and we'll see you later.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Goodbye, everybody. Please jump in the raid. Jump in the raid, everybody. Jump on in like getting into a big boat.
Raid.
Switch over, make room for each other. Making room.
Raid boat.
Come on, everybody, jump in there.
Do I end the stream now? Do I do it tonight?
Don't do it. You don't do it yet. I gotta raid first, and then we move over. This is a very rare moment.
Very technical.
Right okay. There's just a few people that are joining. We're just going to send over whomever is here and just. It's like a mass beam. That's what we're doing.
Oh, mass. Wait.
Intruder.
I'm gonna end it. Did you already
Intruder.
This?
Do what now?
You can do it. You can end stream.
Okay.